Hi, welcome to today's seminar. I am Joseph Chen. I am leading Hong Kong U's EDI program, Entrepreneurship, Design and Innovation. Today, it is my pleasure to share with you on the topic, digital transformation in urban management via blockchain. So let's kickstart. In Hong Kong U, we are promoting cross-disciplinary innovations. And that is why I'm here. So a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm a professional architect. I have been doing projects in Europe, in Middle East, in Greater China, including Hong Kong. And I've been also promoting design thinking on different industries that include education, that include business, and also other industries that we are trying to engage the people on empathy and also bring in the innovation to unleash the potentials. And nowadays, when we are talking about innovation, we couldn't omit data. And that is why I'm also doing the R&D on the blockchain technology. In our program, when we are talking about the EDI program, obviously, and also our CIEC program, Creativity, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship in China, there's something that I am always emphasizing, is that why are we doing all this? If it is just for learning, there are so many things that you can do. But actually, when we are doing the R&D, when we are looking at how to create a better world, this is the lines that I always like to talk about. We research and teach the aspects of creating and managing values. Because we are creating the new values, we're adding values to the different industries, to people's life. That is where we should be here. And that is where we should do better. That is where we should get our technology to advance to support us. And to kickstart on today's sections, I would like to use 4 questions to almost like to set the scene. Like this one, when we are talking about blockchain, is it just around the corner? I would say definitely yes, because this is not something that happens yesterday. If you're looking at this diagram on the left, it is all the way to the June 2014, and there are a lot of the financial institutes. They are already starting to look at how blockchain technology is helping them. And then in the between 2015, 2016, actually all the big parties and like the Visa, like the Citibank, like the Deloitte and Accenture, basically they're all there trying to use the technology, trying to improve their workflow. So basically it is already there. And if we are looking at the image on the right, this is the 2019 to 2020, the Hong Kong budget. And when they are talking about the new technology, like the cutting edge IT, and say, for example, AI, blockchain, cloud computing, big data, they're looking at how to educate our next generation in the secondary school to try to learn it and then to try to build up the skill set on this technology. So you will know that whether you are on the, say, secondary school levels, or you are the key players in the industries, blockchain is something that it is already there. The second question is about when we are looking at, when we talk about the data management, how much should we put our resource to work it out? According to the KPMG report, and they are quoting the International Data Corporation's the Big Data and Analytics Spending Guide. They are looking at 274 billion. And this is the money that is going to be spent for managing the data. Of course, it will include the data privacy. But at the moment, only 17% of organizations, according to a survey, they are they're thinking that they are making their life effective. They're making their work, and that they are maximizing the values from the data that they hold. It means that there are still over 80% of the industries that want to use the data, and they want to use the data management in a much better way. So this is where we can actually do better. And when we talk about urban planning and city management, what exactly it is? It is a simple solution, or is it going to be just a single solution? Not city management is always not a simple one, but is it going to be the single solution? Not indeed. When we are talking about a city, we are always talking about the learning process. And like the examples here, on the left, I've got an image on Dubai. They are already doing a very good job. Within a 20 years period of time, they are building up a metropolitan from a desert. Really, really well done. But actually today, when people are going from the far end of the image, that is the Khalifa Tower. And here, this area, this is the DIFC, the Dubai International Financial Area. From the map, possibly by car, it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. But actually, today, when you are going there, it will take more than an hour. The reason is that the infrastructure, the transportation is not catching up. And that is why when their neighbors, Abu Dhabi, when they're trying to work out their city redevelopment, and also the image in the middle, it is the Sadia Island, which I'm also the key contributor for the concept. We are looking at what could be the framework that the city can grow and also try to build up, not for just that particular period of time, that it is for long term. And this is where, when we are talking about how city is learning about the citizen, when the city is trying to learn how the people are living in the cities, the concept of smart city is coming into place. Indeed, the term smart city, it is starting in November 2008 by the former IBM CEO, which he quoted in the conference. And of course, IBM data, that is actually quite a natural born. But when we're looking at the key aspects, this is where we need to pay attention to. What is exactly smart city? It is not just the hardware. It is actually a combination of hardware and software. That is why they're looking at smart economy, smart governance, smart environment, smart people, smart mobility, and smart living. And also, when we are talking about a city, you might be thinking about, okay, there is culture, civilization. Is it going to take a long period of time? Of course, the learning of it, the growing of it, the development of it, it is going to take a long period of time, and it's almost like it will be developed along the timeline towards almost like forever. But actually, every day there will be incidents. Every day, the conditions of a city would be different. Like, for example, now out there, we have got the coronavirus situation. So in the past, when we are talking about city management, we are always talking about how to enhance the interaction of the people. But now, what people are saying, they're talking about urban distancing. So you can say that the social distancing and the interaction, they're actually on two extremes. So when we are trying to work out a city management, we need to get a good balance. And that is why through the smart city, through the use of the data management, possibly in the cloud database, there are a number of the categories that we need to look at. And here I've listed out some of them. The first one, assuring citizens' quality of life, providing clear information exchange and communication between citizens and institutions, simplifying city services, developing an ecosystem as a platform for matching supply with demand for innovation, supported by a combination of hardware and software, online and offline. And of course, that will also cover what I've been keep on talking about, the multidisciplinary. And this is all about getting people's life better. And there are a number of the main characteristics of the smart city: innovation, awareness, creativity, participation, learning, diversity, collaboration, efficiency, and networking. So basically what we are trying to propose, what we are trying to design the city, or the way that we are going to manage the urban area or the rural area, we can actually use this as a criteria to try to work out the framework. And I think these 4 questions that I just posed, it will form a good structures on today's seminar. Okay, let's stop sharing for a moment. And today's topic, we are talking about digital transformation. So let me bring out another 2 questions. So in order to manage the large quantity of data, we need a powerful computer. So if I ask you, so who should build the largest computer in the world for us to work it out? Any thoughts? You may be thinking about, okay, when we are talking about the largest computer manufacturers, maybe we can go for IBM. They start the concept of smart city. Maybe you have got some people or some of you are thinking, no, I am not using the IBM. I am an Apple person. So maybe you are thinking about, maybe Apple can build the supercomputer. But I would need to say, no matter who is building it, it wouldn't be the largest, because the largest computer that we can get is to connect all the computers in the whole world together. You cannot find anything stronger than that, more powerful than that. And this is where blockchain concept is coming in. So we need a supercomputer to actually handle a lot of data management. And we need to connect the computer and then do the computing together. And second question is that when we are talking about transformation, when we are talking about digital transformation, what exactly is a digital transformation? Some of you may be thinking about, okay, let's go for a paperless office. I have to agree that a paperless office is definitely something worth doing. It is a good practice because we are saving the environment and we are building a sustainability-friendly city. Why not? So we should do that. But that is not digital transformation yet. What we need to do, it is really to look at how when we bring in the digital, it is a change of habit, a change of culture to make, again, I need to use this phrase again, to make the life better and then to make the life more efficient. And how to do it? With the data, we are almost like becoming an insight-based city management. Okay, let's go back to the sharing of the screen again. So this is a quote from President Xi in China. So when President Xi is talking about technology, you know that this is going to be something that gets everyone's focus. That will get the resource, that will get all the different talents, all the different company, whether we are talking about commercial, NGO, tech company, then going to look at all this technology, how it is going to change the operation and management of a city. What President Xi have mentioned in this address is that he talked about, to look at the last paragraph, the new generation of information technology represented by AI, quantum information, mobile communication, Internet of Things, and blockchain. So basically, when we are talking about this new technology, we wouldn't just look at it individually because it will have a role. It would be actually complementing to the others. So I think what we are looking at it today in the digital transformation is that we are looking at the full package. And of course, blockchain we have the role in it, and to support and say, for example, all these examples that has been linked here, whether we are talking about biology, medicines, or we are talking about the healthcare, or we are talking about financial system, education. Basically, we can actually use the data management system that include, again, the AI, quantum information, mobile communication, Internet of Things, and blockchain to work it out. But of course, you might be saying that, okay, there are other terms that maybe it will be important as well. Like, for example, cloud computing. Like, for example, big data. Yes, they're actually part of it, just that it hasn't been quoted out. And I've got some other examples here to get you to think about what is the meaning of multidisciplinary, multi-department use of the data. Let's say, for example, medical. Of course, we know that the hospital will have got their data systems. But is it going to be the best way to handle all the health and safety things? I think that is only a part of it. Never going to be the full ecosystem. When we are talking about the full ecosystem, it can, but not limited to. We are looking at the hospital, whether it is the private one or the public one, they have got the record. We can also bring in insurance because we are talking about how the finance is going to support it. And we are also looking at maybe the DNA record because actually it will have a good, you can say, estimate focus on the people's health. And even when we are talking about hospital provisions, including the number of beds and including the different treatment schedules, equipment, if the whole medical system includes all these parties, it will be more comprehensive. We can actually work out a way to find out what is the efficient way to take care of a person's health. So when we are talking about a person's health, of course, everyone knows that we need the open space. We need the greenery. Of course, I'm not saying that when we go out to the countryside, we still should actually spend most of our time on the mobile. But what if there's all the data that we can actually capture on how much time people are spending on the greenery area and what are the outdoor needs for a city? Then it will affect how we do the urban planning. And it will also affect how when we are talking about redevelopment of a city. So from the outdoor greenery area, we bring in the commercial activities, retail. So when we are looking at retail, what is the best way to work out a commercial ecosystems? Like when I was in UK, I was with Tesco, and they're really the pioneer looking at how to use the customer data. So here, when we're looking at the retail ecosystem, we can actually capture the insight from the detailed information about the neighborhood, about the number of competitors, stores, about the neighborhood conditions, whether the people there are affluent or not affluent, because that will actually bring in what kind of stock of their product or produce that they need to put in their stores, and what are the real needs of the residents. Because if you have got a store in your area, but if you go inside, you couldn't get the type of things that you are looking for, then it is not supporting you. So from the store, then of course, we need to think about what exactly is the supply chain, how can it be better, and how the logistics is being run. So from the logistics, it brings out when we are talking about city management and other big topic, mobility. How can we reduce the traffic jam? How can we improve the public transport system? How can we manage we are talking about pollution. How can we reduce the pollution by making the system more efficient? Or we are trying to bring in the different vehicles that is more environmental friendly. So mobility is another thing. From the physical world, then we jump to the more financial systems. So asset management, again, there are lots of different aspects that need to look after because we are all looking after our own assets, whether you are talking about the bank account or actually the record of all your financial assets. And all this data, all these categories, you can see that they're all interrelated. And this is a few photos. These are a few photos that it shows the visit of my students that we visit Hanqin in China. This is a company called L-Kohler. So what they do, they are actually building the charging station for the electric car. So you must be thinking about, okay, so whenever there's electricity, you put a station there and then voila, then work is done. But again, as I say, for a good data management system that will help on the maintenance and development of the system, it wouldn't be just that. You need to bring in the insight. You need to see how the different smart data management is going to support you. This is what they're doing. You can see that they have got a dashboard because all these charging stations, they have got, you can say the IoT, they have got the sensor, and then they have got all the information that they're recording, they're feeding back to the headquarters. So with the dashboard, they know that what are the different conditions of the different poles of this charging station. When they need maintenance, where is the area that is the most used area? And because why it's needed, if some of the outposts, if it has breakdown, of course you need to send someone quickly to go there to repair it. Why we need to have the overview? Then we will know that for the development, for the expansion, for the growth of these outposts, where should we put it? So these are all going to make the whole transportation system to be almost like a more efficient one. And okay, so here let me stop this search again. So today's topic, we are going to talk about blockchain. So when people talk about blockchain, at this moment, there's still, the reason I stop is that I want to get the figures a bit higher, but still there are a lot of people that are still saying that, okay, you're going to talk about blockchain. So are you going to talk about Bitcoin? Of course, in another seminars, I can talk about Bitcoin. But actually Bitcoin, it is only one of the market adoptions on how blockchain is being used. Generally, there are three circles of blockchain. The first one, it is about Bitcoin and mining. It is still true because a few years ago, there's so many people trying to do the Bitcoin investment. And some people, they are even using the university's computer system to try to do the mining. And this is, I think the Bitcoin creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, no one knows it is a him or she because this is a name that no one knows who exactly he or she is. And with that mining, a lot of people are joining in this hype. But that is more like to look at how to change the money systems. So that is the first circle. But before I move on to the next level, I need to say that if you are still thinking about doing the mining, I would say not worth it. The reason is that the electricity that is being used for the mining, it wouldn't justify any of the Bitcoin, that's a small bit of the Bitcoin that you are going to get. But that is the first layer. The second layer is that a few years later, there's another hype. That is called the ICO, the virtual currency hype. And that is where I would say it brings out another layers because people are trying to think about, should we actually introduce the token theory into the different online and offline activities or products? And people usually would use the Ether system. That is why we have got a ERC20. But most of it, people are just trying to look at how token is going to change the way people are doing their investment. The concept of this second layer, the crypto layer, on connecting the online blockchain information to the offline activities, this concept is good. But because most of the focus is on the cryptocurrency, and that's why it's sidetracked a lot, and a lot of it has gone into, again, speculations. So today, we are not going to talk about Bitcoin nor crypto. What we are going to talk about is, it is the technology development. What exactly it is the digital data management going to adopt it, going to use blockchain to change the way that we are doing the different activities. And this is where the real digital transformation is coming in. So looking at this photo, and this is a basic concept of what is blockchain. And so maybe I can go into doing the screen share again. Okay. Share. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm just going to give you a basic concept. So when we are talking about blockchain, as the seminar start, I talk about how to make the most powerful computer in the world. And that is why the basic need of it is to have computers connected together. So this is where the step one is. Let's say, for example, we have got four computers that are connecting together. When the first transaction happens, let's say A, it is he or she is sending £5 to B. This transaction is being recorded in all the four computers, meaning that it is not being grouped together. It has been distributed and being recorded in all these nodes. So that is the first transaction. And when there's the second transaction, let's say B is sending £10 to C, the second transaction, we have this record again to be recorded in A, B, C, and these, the ledger node. And if you know about accounting, ledger is basically a record on all the transactions. So similarly, when we have got the next transaction, let's say C is sending £20 to D, this record of the third transaction, it will be recorded on the ledger of node A, ledger of node B, ledger of node C, and ledger of node D. So it brings out why is it calling it a blockchain technology. Block is for each record, then it is called a block. Because it is chained together, that's why it is being blockchain, being called a blockchain. So there are a few key characteristics. We are calling it almost like a bottom-up democratic approach on managing the data. The reason one is that all the records are being recorded on all the different ledgers. That's why it is transparent. Not one particular one, not any of the particular one is going to dominate it. However, you are saying that, okay, the data is everywhere, so it is not good. Here, it brings out the second characteristic. All the data are encrypted, meaning that although the records are in the node, but because they're encrypted, it is being safely kept. And of course, we are going to talk a little bit about how to encrypt it later and what is the effect of it. And so that is the second characteristics. The reason why I said it is democratic, apart from the record is being distributed at all the different nodes, there's also another reason. Because all the information, when it is being recorded, it needs to go through the AI system, the computer system, to validate it. And that is why any of the invalidator, it wouldn't be recorded. It will make it more efficient because it helps you to manage the data. And then it's also bring out another characteristics of the blockchain. All the different transactions, it is one smart contract. For this term smart contract, it basically means that all the different things, it will be done by the computer automatically according to how you set it digitally. So if someone wants to hack into the data, so if you remember the movie Mission Impossible, if you still remember about Tom Cruise, and he's the guy who has been hanged by the cable from the ceiling, and then they found a central machine, and then he tried to do it, and he tried to change the data, and then he go away, and he win, and then he beat up the bad guys. So does it mean that if someone want to hack into this blockchain system, they just need to send another Tom Cruise over there? Not that easy. The reason is that for any of the data, if you want to change anything or to add into the information, because all the data has been recorded and it couldn't be changed. So if you want to go in and then really to do something to it, you need to have it validated. In order to have it validate the whole new data that you are putting in, you need to occupy more than 50%, 50. You need to occupy more than 50% of the computer in order to update those information. So in this system, at least you need to send in 3 Tom Cruise to update the information real time. And it makes it a lot more difficult. And of course, we are not talking about just 4 machines. We can talk about thousands or hundreds of thousands of machines, or even millions of machines. And that is where people would always say that blockchain would be a secure system. But of course, here you might be thinking about, okay, another technology people are talking about, it is about the quantum technology, quantum computing. It possibly will be quick enough to do that. But I wouldn't be too worried at this particular moment. The reason, one is that quantum computing is still under development. And also another more important reason is that when the quantum technology is ready to try to break into this system, we possibly will have a more quantum version of the blockchain. And that is why I wouldn't be too worried about that concern. So if possibly not all of you have been sending money out to your friends overseas, and because depending on your age, because I know that for this seminar, a lot of the secondary school students will be watching it. But if you are not secondary school students, if you are someone you have done it before, you know that the money transfer to overseas, you need to go through the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system. So for this SWIFT system, you need the centralized organization going to handle it for you, going to do the clearing for you. And it will make it more, more redundant in some way, but it is necessary because you need the third person. But actually for blockchain, the good thing is that because it's all connected together, with the validators, with the smart contract, everything can be done almost like immediately. And that's why, if you remember the very first slides that I shared about all the financial institutes, they are so looking into the blockchain because it will save them a lot of money. And we are talking about through saving a lot of time. And not just saving a lot of time, we are talking about the correctness and also the safety of all those data. So going back to the data management aspect. So when we are talking about this blockchain system, it will be very good in doing the record and certifications because it is hard to be changed. And that's why a lot of people, they are exploring how to use the blockchain to develop a system. Let's say, for example, land did. When we are talking about construction, and how about the construction and building record? For the environment, we are talking about the BIM Plus would actually all the outposts when we have got the different sensor, when we have got a different achievement, when we have got all the different data, it fit into the blockchain BIM Plus system immediately. And it will actually, again, make it more efficient. Or we can actually detect the quality of building. Of course, it is not just by blockchain. We will need to bring in the IoT sensor. And then we can actually observe the building quality. And again, when we are talking about building quality, it is not just a one-off here. It is not just that you send someone to go there to check out the meter and then you check out the number. We are talking about a running record. And again, it will make people understand the building conditions almost like comprehensively. And this brings out the performance. Performance, it will include you can say the people element, whether people are actually performing enough or good enough. If it is an office, would actually an office, whether we have the lighting, the air conditions, and everything's going to provide a good condition for people to work and then to give out the best performance, or even when we are talking about the physical building performance. And because we are talking about ledger, not just static data, it's also about bringing in, say, all the data can be traced because of this block and chain, and these are all can be traceable. And that would be very useful, especially in the food industries, because we want to make sure that all the food are safe and they are in good they are from good source, and then we will note the situation of the logistics and medical. And so basically, there are a lot of different applications that blockchain with all these characteristics: transparent, encrypted data, wire smart contract, validators. With all these characteristics, it will bring in more efficient working habits and also the working culture. So usually when people talking about the main difference in the past and the application of blockchain, it is about centralized and decentralized. You possibly remember in the previous slides, we are talking about, going back, we are talking about because all the data are being distributed, and that is why we are calling it a distributed system with all the distributed ledger. And as I say, because of this transparency, because of this efficiency, it takes away the central authority that is, or the third party, that sometimes would actually slow the things down, and it is not makes it may not be making the system more safe and more efficient. But however, I'm not saying that everything that we are doing today, nowadays, we should all doing it distributed. The reason is that sometimes if you don't need to have a more democratic way to work out all those data, a centralized way may be the quickest one. So it will depend on the whole situation. And imagine, and this part you really need to use more imagination. What happens if all the data, each single number, each, say the bank account, each data for the building record, all those data, if all those data, each of it will have an address, and the address is also being recorded on the blockchain, it will mean that each of those data will be unique. And it will actually bring out another, you can say that, bring out another values or the potential on how we can use the data, which I'm not going to talk too much on today's seminar because it will take deep, but I want to mention it because this is where I truly believe that it will change the way that we look at the future. The reason is that suddenly we give data value. And with this value, it's almost like its data will become the asset. And that is why we are moving from the quantity of data as well, and suddenly we are adding values to all those data. So this is definitely is going to change the industries. Okay, and on this one, when we are talking about blockchain, there are 3 different types of blockchain: public blockchain, private blockchain, and consortium. Public blockchain, it means that all the different ledger nodes they are actually within a closed circles. So it may be a group of, say, for easy understanding for you, maybe it is all within a corporate, all within one company. So it is not all open to any access. So that is that is a private blockchain. So for a public one, like for example, Ethereum, basically it means that anyone, if you log into it and then you can actually put your data on and you can access it, then it is a public blockchain. But of course, there will be cost involved. So we talk about public blockchain, private blockchain, and then for consortium may means that maybe within the industries, a number of companies, they want to work out together because it will help them to drive the ecosystem. Then those different companies, they will join force. And what the blockchain ecosystem needed to make the market adoptions really going to be smooth, going to affect our daily life because we can actually bring in all the different corporations, is that we need the interchange mechanism. That is where we call it the interoperation. But this is already, the technology is already ready. This is actually one of my R&D projects that is actually doing. So we can actually link up on different data from different chain, and then we can bring it through across the different chain. It's almost like it becomes a translator. But of course, it is more than translator. And this is going to be milestones for a complete data management world. But for this slide, what I would like to talk about is actually the three chains. The public chains actually open for anyone. Private chain, it is within a closed loop, and the consortium that is going to join force amongst the different parties. Okay. On this slide, I want to touch on a little bit on why is that blockchain can help on privacy and also security. So for security is that, of course, we want all our data to be encrypted. So only us ourselves can manage the data that we own. And that is why I want to bring in the zero knowledge proof. It means that we can actually build up a blockchain system that if someone wants to make something work, they don't need to get any of the data from him or from her. So it will, so this guy, let's say he wants to send something to a particular address for a particular person. So for this lady, she don't want to disclose her information. So what it is being done, it is in the middle through the blockchain. Basically, the blockchain can do the analysis. The blockchain can do the distributed computing to ensure that this all this requirement is satisfied, so that this guy know that this is the right person to send this package to. And so the basic concept going back, it is the principle is that not to disclose any information, and then to let the computer to do all the calculations and then to verify it. And this will help a lot because it means that we can get a result without disclosing the data. The second way to handle our data, it is the management of keys. So for each of the data, we can actually put it almost as securely under the key system. So meaning that if I want to disclose any information to you, you are not going to get it unless I give you the key. And also because for the key, each key I can allocate for particular data. That means that I don't need to give you everything. And so through this zero knowledge proof and also the management of keys, these two characteristics, it is which you can say the strength of how blockchain is going to support the market adoptions. And for these slides, it is actually going back, it's talking about how the different layers, how the different technologies is going to work together. So from the perception layers, of course, we talk about the IoT. We have got a different sensor. We have got a different mobile data. So it will fit into the network. So that is where the mobile communications or even 5G is coming in. Then blockchain is coming in. And then because that is the computing and analysis and also the data management layers. And again, we are not just looking at one platform. Likely that we are looking at multi-platforms. So again, that means that once we connect the multi-platforms, it will create the governing layer that we can actually manage the ecosystem. That will be applicable to city management. So when we are talking about city visions, it will be likely from top down. So from the governance layers, what is the vision of a city and how we are going to work out the requirement and management of it. But when we are talking about the innovation, we need to understand the users, we need to get the insight. Then it is talking about bottom-up city innovations. So these diagrams basically work out the relationship of the different technology and how each of it or how the cities can be impacted or supported through the different technologies. And on this diagram, although you can see there are many words, and what I want to bring out is that for the blockchain technology, because it is digital context management, and what we are going to use is that the central technology. It is about the cloud ledger, and it is about the communication and secure data ownership management. But we still need the three key components. One is that for the users. So the users are not in their passive role anymore. They're part of the communities because what they are or how they are involving in it, it will actually drive the transformation of a city. And then of course we have got the operator. And before, without the data application, it is more like it is not sensitive enough. It is not directly relating to the users enough because we want to address what the user needs. And this is where when we are in design thinking, we talk about empathy. And from this system, now they will have enough information to translate it for the transformation in management, design, and innovations. But of course, with the users, with the operators, we still need a platform for them to work together. And for this platform, it is not just the sheer quantity of the data. We are looking at, if you remember, the validators, then we can actually verify the data, and it will bring out an innovative way to do the computing. And also, because if you remember the ecosystem, then we have the interface for working out a different system, and then to make the UI UX, that is the user experience, the user interface, trying to have an improved one to link up these operators, user, and platform. And this is the concept of it. It will be used in different industry. It will be used in different departments. And that is like what I talk about, medical, retail, or here I have also putting down the entertainment or the digital IP market. So these are all the areas that it will be applied. And imagine on the different departments, different categories of the data, we are talking about it relating to any individual persons. And because each individual person, they can manage the cross-departmental data. And when we are talking about the whole city, it will become almost like a three-dimensional data network or data matrix. That is where we need the powerful machine. But actually, because of this three-dimensional data matrix, it will help us to generate a lot of insight how to improve the management of our city. Again, going back to what's happening out there, coronavirus. If we really want to trace back where is the source of a particular patient, or we are going to look at whether the building maintenance or building conditions or the performance of the city, whether it will contribute to almost safeguard the citizens, or even to win the war, we really need to look at how to manage all this data. In the news, as we talk about Apple and Google, usually they are the competitors. They will be or keep on having, oh, this IP is mine, no, that IP is not yours, this is mine. They go on the law goes on the court, and they're fighting against each other. But under the coronavirus situation, they're thinking about, okay, let's join force to see whether we can use the Bluetooth to work out whether you might be coming close to someone who has been tested the coronavirus positive. So that is only part of data management. Again, if we can, let's say, use your imagination. With the technology, if we can actually manage to reveal the social interaction, and then we are also relating to location history, and of course, you must be talking about, okay, how about the privacy? Let's say it is encrypted data, and with the zero proof knowledge, the technology. So with the social interactions, location history, and then the real-time detection of health conditions, if someone is having a temperature, then you know it immediately. And then also in Hong Kong, we are talking about the U channel of the air trap. That is also part of the reason why the SARS is being spread. So let's say we have got the IoT that will be covering the detection of the sewage or the leak that will happen on the building conditions. Let's say we connect all this data together to form a matrix. I'm sure that we will be in a much better condition to beat the current coronavirus situation. And of course, there will be a lot of the analysis or systems that need to be used. And here I just quote to, like, maybe we can use the K-nearest neighbor model to work out the pattern of a particular subject. Or maybe we can use the typical the distribution model to look at what is the distribution of a particular happening. And I'm sharing here another photo on our trip with our students in looking at what are the new technology. This one, it is called the social face. Social face, it is quite different from Facebook. Facebook, it is all about an individual person's information. But here, what they try to do, it is to look at what are the relations of the people and what are the social relationship or the social interaction of the people. That will actually brings out the possibility to portray new business or the new way that we operate our city. And like, for example, the previous one when we talk about coronavirus, with the social interaction mapping, then we will be in a much better shape to trace whether there's any patient somewhere. And a quick one on this one, McKinsey, obviously they are quite forward-looking and they are thinking about blockchain. What will be the whole ecosystem that will be covered? And that is why they're saying that the citizens that themselves, they can look after their own data through the blockchain ledger. And obviously it is through smart contract. And then it will under the regulations in a city. And with all this individual data, they are going to work out with the public agency or the commercial companies. So these forms are, you can say, an ecosystem on how the data can be managed in the city management levels. But of course, this is more like an overview. And another photo that I took when my students went to visit Huawei. And one thing that I think it is very strong, it is the slogan. They're saying that bring digital to every person, home, and organization for a fully connected, intelligent world. And I think when we are looking at all those technology, the IoT, the blockchain, the mobile communication, 5G, and when we're looking at all those technology, basically, this is exactly the goal that we are trying to do. Indeed, Huawei, they are not just doing the 5G. they have got their different departments, and this is where when we visit their headquarters in Shenzhen, that is actually where we visit some of the more innovation, the different technology. And it covers really a lot, from smart city to the infrastructure, to the smart grid, manufacturing, banking, ecosystem, education, security. Basically, they're already looking at how technology is supporting all of it. But of course, we know that through the blockchain, once we or they, or actually the community going to look at the adoption of it, it is going to be making our life more efficient and more, I would say, it will be a much better health and safety. And also, you name it, for different industry, there will be different goals that we can achieve. So very quick one, how should we apply it? How should we handle the data? This is where I think design thinking will be very useful, because we are talking about generating the insight through the quant and core approach. That is the quantity and also the quality of it. And of course, with the data acquired, then we are going to identify the different patterns, and then we try to find out what are the core problems and where the potential we can do more. And then, of course, it is about generate the insight. So with that, and then it brings out the next bit is that when we try to do the blockchain application in the city management, there are a few processes that it will help. And it's almost like step by step. Of course, it starts with discovery and evaluation, and then we try to look at with these new schemes, how you are going to start small with the pilot child or the prototyping. And then we try to find out how to build the most suitable system for that particular subjects or for particular industries. And then, of course, it is partially is to roll out and then again to evaluate before the full implementation. But of course, after the implementation, we still need to look at how evaluation that can help us to expand the integration of it. And on this one, I can jump out from the screen share. So the key concern, of course, when we talk about new technology, we need to cover the key concerns for what happens if we want to apply it. Anything we need to be aware of. There are three key things: performance, speed, and as I say, at the moment when the train has becoming too long, and it is the same problem for Bitcoin, is that it will be slowing down, but actually technology is actually moving forward. Security, some people told me that, actually not some people, even HSBC, the IT department say that for the cloud computing, the cloud system, it is actually safer than your personal hard disk. And scalability, and how we can actually grow big. How, when we're talking about growing big, it is about the market adoptions. So these are going to be what we need to look at, but these are all can be resolved. So for the final slides, when we are talking about city management, and I think this is where the UN, the United Nations, the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, it is where the SDGs will be the good time to come into place, because there are a lot of different aspects we want to improve the world. We want to get the world and all the world citizens in a much better environment to live. And of course, it is not just about the policy. We all can also look at how data management with the data cloud ledger system is going to make it almost like to find out new solutions. And I think this is where blockchain can help to explore it. And again, we need to engage the different parties. And for the different parties, of course, we need to have the users, the end users, the operators, the city planners, designers, and policymakers, and investor entrepreneurs as well, so that we are looking at investing money in, having the new method having the innovative solution, going to try it, and going to address all the different needs of the people. And so this is where I would say today's lecture, it is only about the start of something. Because in the end, we still need to engage almost like everyone, of course, to a different extent. Maybe you are the users, maybe you are the designers, maybe you are the one who can actually drive the policy in the future. So I think this is where we can actually connect people together. Once people are connected, once people can collaborate and then to work out, you can say it, direction for the good of the world, I think we can have a real digital transformation in urban management via blockchain. So this is the end of today's seminar. So thank you very much and hope that you enjoyed my sharing today. Thank you.